Because traits and interpersonal attributes are less amenable to change, it may make sense to focus on patterns of behavior exhibited by effective leaders. This is the focus used by those interested in the behavioral styles approach, which attempts to identify the unique behaviors displayed by effective leaders. As you might expect, leaders rely on many different types of behaviors to influence others and to accomplish goals. One researcher, for example, identifies 65 distinctive categories of leadership behavior. The good news is that these behaviors can be boiled down into 4 categories: task-oriented, relationship-oriented, passive, and transformational. Researchers have predominantly studied 2 types of task-oriented behaviors: initiating structure and transactional leadership. Initiating structure, leadership behavior that organizes and defines what group members should be doing to maximize their output. Examples of initiating structure are when someone organizes a team meeting for a class project, or when someone seeks input from a knowledgeable source to help guide the team's work. Within transactional leadership, it focuses on clarifying employees' roles and task requirements and providing followers with positive and negative rewards contingent on performance. Transactional leadership encompasses the fundamental managerial activities of setting goals, monitoring progress toward goal achievement, and rewarding and punishing people for their level of goal accomplishment. The purpose of relationship-oriented leadership is to enhance employees' skills and to create positive work relationships amongst coworkers and between leader and his or her employees. Organizational behavior researchers have primarily investigated the impact of 4 relationship-oriented behaviors: consideration, empowerment, servant leadership, and ethical leadership. The consideration. Leader behavior that creates mutual respect or trust and prioritizes group members' needs and desires. Consideration promotes social interactions and identification with the team and leader. Considerate leader behavior has predominantly and moderately strong positive relationship with measures of leadership effectiveness. Empowering leadership. What is empowering leadership? Well, that's the extent to which a leader creates perceptions of psychological empowerment in others. The psychological empowerment. It employs beliefs that they have control over their work. Leaders increase psychological empowerment by engaging in behaviors that enhance perceptions of meaning, self-determination or choice, competence, and impact. Managers lead for meaningfulness by inspiring their employees and modeling desired behaviors. Managers lead for choice by delegating meaningful assignments and tasks. Managers lead for competence by supporting and coaching employees and by making sure employees have the knowledge needed to successfully perform their jobs. Managers lead for progress by monitoring and rewarding others. Servant leadership. Servant leadership focuses on increased service to others rather than to oneself. Because the focus of servant leadership is serving others over self-interest, servant leaders are less likely to engage in self-serving behaviors that hurt themselves. Servant leadership is expected to promote leadership effectiveness because it focuses on providing support and growth opportunities to employees. Characteristics of servant leadership are described in this table and are listening, healing, awareness, persuasion, conceptualization, foresight, stewardship, commitment to the growth of people, and interest in building community. Passive leadership is best illustrated by what organizational behavior scholars call laissez-faire leadership. Laissez-faire leadership is a general failure to take responsibility for leading. Examples of laissez-faire leadership include avoiding conflict, failing to provide coaching on difficult assignments, failing to assist employees in setting performance goals, failing to give performance feedback, failing to address issues associated with bullying, or being so hands-off that the employees have little idea about what they should be doing. Laissez-faire leadership promotes incivility among people and has an overall negative impact on employees' perceptions on leadership effectiveness. Individuals use laissez-faire leadership should be trained to use behaviors associated with other forms of task and relational leadership or removed from their position. Unfortunately, leader behavior is more important than leader traits when it comes to effectiveness. We also understand or should understand that leader behaviors can be systematically improved and developed, and that there is no one best style of leadership. There are multiple styles. Now let's test some of our knowledge again. Margaret leads her employees by having formal, well-developed guidelines and procedures for each task they perform. Which leadership style best describes Margaret's style? I'll give you a minute. Yes, if you answered transactional leadership, E, then you are correct. And if you aren't correct, then please just remind yourself of what those other defined terms mean. Now, this was a short lesson on some of the relationship-oriented behaviors, styles, and approach to leadership effectiveness.